It's time to talk about our upset meter. Oh boy. 2 weeks ago, we did a fantastic job. Picked some really steamy ones and even capitalized on an upset there. Last week, I don't think we got an upset there. Uh, Missed a couple other key upsets that almost happened and some that did happen. But this week we got 4 teams. We got North Carolina on the road facing Georgia Tech. We got Ohio State playing Wisconsin. That's a 2-touchdown spread. JMU playing Old Dominion. I believe that's a 20-point spread, 17. You'll have to check that for me. Kansas State playing Houston. 17 points is that spread, and they get them at home. So people are asking, why are they on this list? I don't know, man. I don't know. Dana Holgerson fighting for his life out there. I don't know. Let's talk about North Carolina first. They are coming off a brutal loss to Virginia. Yikes. At home, I believe. Jeez. That was it was wild how they lost that game. I think if they played that game 90 more times that they would win 89 of them. I couldn't believe that they lost that game. Georgia Tech prone to playing up in big games. Of course, they're playing at home in a Bobby Dodd. Is that Bobby Dodd Stadium? Yeah, over there in Atlanta. I think this one is pretty close to sweating, dude. I think it's like right there. Like this now, granted, this could be recency bias because they didn't play all that well against Virginia, but Georgia Tech has shown up in some games, and their secondary is not the worst secondary that we've ever seen. Granted, their run defense is absolutely horrendous, and they just lost to Boston College because of it. I think if North Carolina decides to run the ball, I think North Carolina can take care of this game easily. But Payne's King, if they hit some explosive plays on offense and find a way to get some turnovers on defense, I can see it happening for sure.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech really did not impress me last week. I thought at times they played well, but they really let that game get out of hand. If you let Tommy Castellanos do that to you, what's Drake May going to do to you, right? And the stable receivers, I think North Carolina is pretty upset after last week. I'm not too worried about this game. I do think on the road at Bobby Dodd is something to consider, but there's a reason why it's 11.5 point spread, right? But I still think North Carolina probably gets this win, even though it might be, a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I don't think this is mild. It's not quite sweating. I think if they had won last week, I would have put this in sweating. But I think it's because they're coming off of a loss. I put it. I'm pretty close to putting it in sweating. To be honest, I think that's a pretty good spot. Almost there in sweating. How about Ohio State playing Wisconsin? I'm not worried at all. I'm just gonna say it straight up. Braden Locke, not a great quarterback. This Wisconsin team, not a great team. Ohio State, like if Michigan win in this game, you can make the argument like, oh, Michigan hasn't been battle tested. Ohio State has been battle tested more than several times. So I just don't see it. Sure, Wisconsin might cover the 14, right? But I have zero doubts that Ohio State wins this game. I think this is cold. I don't see them losing this football game at all.
No, and this is not the same Wisconsin teams of old where their defense has a chance to keep them in this game, especially with maybe not as an explosive offense as Ohio State's had in past. Ohio State's going to move the ball in Wisconsin. I mean, you also have the game, was it last year? I mean, it was bad. It was very bad. Obviously, a much different Wisconsin team. But yeah, I'm not too worried. Braden Locke, I don't think he'll get it done. This Ohio State defense, that's what gives me no problem at all in this game. Their defense is going to come ready to play. It's fantastic. And yeah, I think it'll be low scoring probably, but I think it might be, 2 or 3 touchdown game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not worried about this team at all. Let's go ahead and stick them in cold right there. JMU was this on the road? No, they get them at home, right? Old Dominion at home. Old Dominion's coming off kind of a nice win for them. Beating Appalachian State. Old Dominion's 4-3. They got a shot at a bowl game. JMU, the second that they were ranked last year, they went on a 4-game skid. Does that happen again this year? I lean towards no. I think JMU, North Carolina are in a similar spot this week. I think in terms of like the mildness of the upset, it's like I think you could argue it's sweating because it's a conference game, and JMU just came off a pretty big win last week, and I don't know. I think it's a 20-point spread for a reason, right? This isn't like Arizona USC where we were like, that's ridiculous, right? That's a ridiculous spread. Why is that spread the way it is? I think this has legitimate foundation. Jordan McLeod's been playing awesome. Jamie's run the ball really well. Their defense looked phenomenal. And even their secondary looked phenomenal, which we said has been struggling this year. They look phenomenal against Georgia Southern, who's prone to exposing those kinds of secondaries. So JMU, very balanced team. I think they beat Old Dominion. I think this one and North Carolina are kind of interchangeable in that mild, almost sweating area. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think James Madison, pretty good football team. They do have extended rest. They played, I believe, on Thursday of last week. They beat Marshall, and Old Dominion played a really tough game that came down to the last minute against Appalachian State. And yes, now Old Dominion believes they can win this football game, but I don't love the fact that it's in James Madison. Right, I feel like they're going to come ready to play. I think they're going to learn from last year, being ranked, then going on to lose a bunch of games in a row. Not this year, not James Madison this year, not the Dukes. Give me James Madison for sure. I'm not too worried.
Yeah, we're gonna throw it in right there. Just know that I think these are interchangeable, right? Right?
Yeah,
I think these are interchangeable. They're right about in this range right here. I think both these guys. Of course, it's hard to fit that into the graphic. So let's talk about Kansas State now. They are, I believe, 17-point favorites. While I'm finding that, you want to talk about this game?
Yeah, they're playing Houston after Houston, lost a close one to Texas. Now, yes, it helped that for Houston that Quinn Ewers got hurt. Houston started making plays. They made it close. They had a chance to go down and tie the football game or win it if they chose a 2-point conversion in the last couple minutes there. Weird fourth down play, whatever. I think Houston has been playing good football as of late. They beat a really good West Virginia team, right? And they hung in there with Texas. I think Houston's got a real chance to go in and beat Kansas State. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff game. Not that Kansas State's known for sleepwalking, but they lose a game or two every year that they probably shouldn't lose. It was Oklahoma State earlier in the year, but Oklahoma State's been playing fantastic. And I think Houston has a real chance to get it done this year. I think Donovan Smith's playing well. I think they can run the ball okay against Kansas State. Even though it's at home for Kansas State, I think they're classic look ahead spot here.
Huge look ahead spot. Because that Texas game, Kansas State has 2 losses, but only 1 in the Big 12, right? Like they have a legitimate shot. Like they beat Texas, like they're on the trajectory to potentially make the Big 12 championship game. So like that is their Super Bowl as of right now. And they're like, oh, Houston at home. I don't even know. I don't know if this is their homecoming. This would probably be a good game to have their homecoming if you're an athletic director or whatever, whoever schedules that kind of thing. I think this is a huge look ahead spot. The line's at 17.5, 17 in some places. If you're looking at Unibet or Bet Rivers, you get that minus 17 for minus 113. Kansas State's been playing fantastic football recently. They've played fantastic football, and I think that the market represents that very well. But just a huge look ahead spot. I could see Houston making this kind of a ball game. But then again, on the road, it's always tough to play on the road. So I don't know.
I do think it's weird.
This is a sweating for sure.
I'd agree with you there. I do think it's just weird, the 2-quarterback system. Not that I don't like it. It's just I do think it is cause for concern at times. I think you can get into a game where it just doesn't work, and neither quarterback can get into a rhythm, and the offense just stalls out, especially an 11 a.m. kickoff game. I think Houston's got a chance to take advantage of that. Dana Holgorsen looking for a signature win, right? Last week, tried to get it against Texas, couldn't get it done. And now I think they have a real chance to beat Kansas State here. And Kansas State is a good football team, and they might turn around and beat Texas. But I just think the Big 12 this year just has a lot of teams that are just kind of fighting with each other, and in every given week, you've got a chance to beat a major upset, and I think this will be that.
I think this is a good lineup right here. I think this is pretty good.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
gonna be a
to
great week.
recap. To recap, we got Ohio State in the cold territory, JMU playing Old Dominion at home, kind of mild, and in the mild, almost sweating area is also North Carolina playing Georgia Tech on the road, and then Kansas State at home, 17.5-point spread. We have them sweating against Houston. We have them sweating. So again, rules for the upset meter, of course, these are all larger than 10-point spreads, right? So everyone wants to pick their upsets that are under a touchdown, right? But no, we're looking for real upsets. That's what we look for here. We're trying to snipe, and like every week we've done this, except last week, one of these teams has lost.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't think we're crazy for having this list. Do not think we're crazy. Like stuff like this happens all the time. It's crazy. I love it.
Well, yeah, and if you have a team or a matchup that you're really interested in us talking about, but it's a huge spread, and we probably won't cover it right in our actual in-depth breakdown videos, let us know. Send a comment, send an email, DM, Twitter DM, and we'll absolutely talk about it. Isn't it awesome to see James Madison on upset alert? Like how awesome is that? Like even though we think it's pretty mild, but
we love covering JMU. But they're a wagon right now. They're an absolute wagon.